Okay, welcome back. I'm eager to get through this last simple script, excuse me, with a little bit of application because we're going to get into building geometry inside the script after this one. So just hang tight. We'll convert this one over to kind of a Wickerson Studio adjustment. It's very simple. Right now it's running as Rhino script syntax at RS. I'm going to show you here. We can go over to rhino.geometry as RG, and it's not really going to make a difference because we have nothing really scripted in here. So when I run it, it's still running the fine. It's still running fine through ABCD. And if you take a look at the script, I've got a little bit here at the end. Just D is at point Z. And I want to show you one thing we weren't doing with the points as we were importing point 3Ds. You can always go in and grab, and it doesn't have to be point Y, point Z, and point X. You don't have to write point there. I mean, you can write anything you want. If you change this back to, if you just took out the OI, you just have to make sure you do it on every single thing. Change the variable name. You change it to dog, bear, cat if you want. It doesn't matter to me. But either way, the script's still going to work. But what I want to show you is with your variable, you can go in here, and I think I'll just have to change this one down here. You can still run that script. It should work fine. And there it goes. So basically, we weren't grabbing the attributes X, Y, Z of those points. And I think that's something we should have been doing earlier on. But this is the last step in kind of importing point 3D in Rhino geometry.rg. And what I did to this geometry was simply, at first I had a 2D section that I was grabbing points out of, but I thought, well, let's populate out 3D instead. And I bring that in, and that becomes the X, the import, and in X is, of course, a series of all these points. And what it's saying with those points is, first of all, output ABC according to this for loop. If point is in X and point X, because it's just this data here, 0.03, yada, 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 7.52, there's a modular function here that you divide it by 3 and see if the remainder is less than 0.5. And if that's the case, then boom, you send that off to A. And A then is taken over to a center box, and it's given a range. I just threw a little range domain step length to that, so it would end up equaling the same. And there's a little bit of fiddle-faddle with here with rounding and modular. So sometimes you have to add one, and sometimes you have to minus one of the steps to make them actually equal. What you want to make sure is that if 6 values are going in here, 6 values are going in here. You can see already it's not the case. So I had that plus one. So what I may do, checking that, and I need to make this parametric so it stays the same every time so you don't get a doubling up. So you have matching data trees of 6 and 6. And then here we'll check this one, 5 and 11. So we get something really wrong with that. So the plus and minus isn't going to make a difference in that. But what we have is, because of the math, if you go in here to the points and you take point Y times point Z and take the modular of those two, multiply together as dividing it by 0.5, and then it ends up less than 0.1, you're going to end up generating these forms, which happen to be 5 objects, and our step range is 11, which shouldn't be the case. It just tells me that for here, I have 5 objects coming out. I need a list length here, and is that list length actually going in at 5 with 5 objects? I probably just didn't have it plugged into the right one. So I'll plug it in there, and I didn't mean to do that. I meant to plug that into the steps. And that should balance that out at 6 and 5. So I'm going to have to take that through a -1 and take that into here. And this is all just funky little discotheque math that maybe I'm only concerned with. 5 and 4 and 1 inherent source. That's strange. Anyway, I guess something weird going on there. I must have messed it up. My range, once again, I'm just messing up into my steps and into my X. And that should allow me to do 5 objects with 5 objects. And if I just check here, for the spheres, it's everything remaining. And anything that's remaining, then bam, we're left with C. And I also put through a little range step here with domain that would just range those from, I think, I went from 0.5 to 1. And I just imported that by a domain length that I set to these values here. That should make a little bit of sense, even though I think I made it as confusing as I possibly could. We'll draw this up and just let you see the tail end of the script that I wanted D set to point Z or Z if you're Canadian or English. or anything else in the world that doesn't use the word Z. And we were left with these objects, which are actually kind of cute and fun. And my kids are going nuts, and I can keep it through the three-dimensional. You can see as I play off of that, I start to get some very strange geometries, indeed, range geometries. Fun to play with and fun to bake in, and you get this nice X, Y, and then Y, Z direction with this Z kind of jumping up and down. Pretty simple, but I'm most excited now. We're going to move on to, I believe, what's called, no, we're already there as inputs, but we're going to definitely start building geometries inside the script. That'll be our next goal. Thanks for watching.